Welcome everyone, I'm Jordan Sharp. As we finalize week number 16 of the NFL, it's time for me to release my 3 Monday Night Football prop betting picks. And even though we haven't had a great week of props this week 16, I still think we have some value here tonight from Bet365 Sportsbook. So we'll start it off with a player prop bet on Emmanuel Sanders, who has an over-under receiving yards tonight of 72.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now the Bengals secondary has been pretty solid this season. Their defense has really turned it around over the last 3 or 4 weeks. From really playing pretty bad earlier in the season and around the middle of the season as well. But tonight with Sanders a little bit banged up, he does have an illness, but he's traveling with the team. Hasn't practiced much this week, though, and that's a bit of a concern for Sanders, I think, of this offense, especially because the Broncos have been really turned to a run-first offense recently with the struggles or injury, whatever it may be, with Peyton Manning and the rest of those skill players on the receiving end. So at 72.5, I have to think that Emmanuel Sanders is a good bet for the under tonight at 72.5. He's only caught 56 and 53 yards receiving in his last 2 games. Really only been, and I believe he only has 7 receptions in those 2 games. So I think Sanders tonight, I think you have to look at him as a good value on the under. At minus 130, there is a little bit of chalk there, but I do think that it is the best play here on that one. Next one I have for you is Andy Dalton and his over-under for passing yards tonight, which is at 227.5. Now, if the Broncos find their passing offense and take an early lead, you have to think that this is a good play on the over, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen tonight. Even though the game is in Cincinnati, the Bengals defense has been playing better, I do think that the Broncos will have a little bit more success on the offensive end than they've been having recently. And especially because Denver's run defense is so solid, I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to just consistently run the football like they have been doing here recently. If Denver really holds them to under 100 yards rushing in this game, you have to think that Andy Dalton is going to be turned to and has to throw the ball against a Denver Broncos secondary that is kind of beatable as well. So as much as I don't like doing it, I'm not a big Andy Dalton fan, but I think sheer volume alone, maybe a couple lucky catches and lucky bombs to A.J. Green as well, could really get a good play on the over here at 227.5. At home, especially this season, other than a couple of duds against the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns, Dalton, you take those 2 games away, and you assume that he threw about 200 yards in those games, other than the 150 and 86 I believe he actually threw. He's still averaging 230 to 250 yards per game, passing yards per game at home this season. So Dalton, I think at 227.5, good play on the over at minus 115. Last one I have for you is an alternate point spread bet here from Bet365, and as the Broncos come in, look like they're settling at 3.5 point road favorites in Cincinnati here tonight. If you go up to minus 7, the value is at plus 160, which I think is an excellent value, especially because, like I mentioned above, if the Broncos find their passing offense in this game, they should win the game by a touchdown. I have no doubt, maybe even more. And at minus 7, even at minus 6, you're getting plus 150 to plus 160 value. So it's definitely something I think you'd ought to take a look at tonight. If you go to minus 7, it's plus 160, which is where I'm going here this evening. And I think the Broncos definitely have the ability to do this on the road here. It's going to be tough, but I've really been weary of the Bengals, especially on offense. And even though I do like Andy Dalton to get over tonight in his passing yards, I'm not a huge fan of that offense overall. So I do think that the Broncos here can take advantage of it if they play their cards right and have a balanced plan of attack in this game. So over, I'm going to go with minus 7 Broncos, plus 160. I'm going to go over 227.5 for Andy Dalton's passing yards tonight at minus 115, and under 72.5 receiving yards for Emmanuel Sanders at minus 130. Best of luck to you on those 3, and I will see you back here later in the week on Sunday for more of my NFL prop betting picks for week 17. But until then, I'm Jordan Sharp, and this has been another edition of the Sharp Pick.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.